I think one of the funnest things that we can do for ourselves is to hire a stylist or an image consultant to help us get everything pulled together so we look really, really good. But have you ever thought about applying that concept of a stylist and image strategist to your business? Hey there, I'm Nafisa Shireen, success coach and business strategist for entrepreneurs, and welcome to Living Forward TV, where we help you to build your business and design your life all around your personal freedom. I'm really excited about our guest today, Kathy Priestman. Kathy has such an incredible history, and she's probably one of the most fun people I've ever met. However, she does something that's really important that really helps a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners really make a splash. And she's an image strategist for businesses. And I can't wait for you to meet her and learn all about her and everything she does, and how having a really pulled together cohesive image for your business can really take you from where you are to well beyond what you could ever imagine for yourself. Kathy, welcome to Living Forward TV.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here. And before we dive in, because I want you to tell our viewers all about your history, because I know you've had quite the experience from traveling the world as a young child. I mean, you've lived in Pakistan, you've served in our military and have helped us. And so, you know, we're all appreciative for her service and her husband's service. And now you're helping entrepreneurs and business owners have an awesome image. So I think that's really cool, and I can't wait to learn about it. But I've got to ask you before we begin, what does living forward mean to you?
Living forward to me means finding a balance amongst all of the different things that bring me joy. My family brings me joy. I love my job. I love working with clients. I love taking time off. And living forward for me is finding a balance and a harmony amongst all of those different things that make me happy so that they can all work together.
Cool. Well, I'm really excited about today's episode because I think, you know, sometimes when we talk about our image, we think about ourselves and how we dress. And it's really fun to hire a stylist. I've done it a few times. And I know when I worked with you, it was the first time I worked with a stylist for my business. And that concept may not be really familiar to a lot of people. So I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about what it means to be a corporate or a business image strategist, and really, like, why is that so important?
Well, it's imperative if you want to move your business to the next level, if you want to stand out. In some ways, it's like, you know, if it's flip-flop season and you don't have your toes painted, people might notice that. Yeah. So how can you make decisions in your business and put a visual image together that represents to your target audience what you want them to see? How can you share the personality and the services that you offer for your business visually so that they understand and can relate to you?
So I'm curious how you came about this work, because, you know, and I know
so
it's
am I
a story.
some days. Yeah.
Because what you do is so unique, and you know, just to share with our viewers how Kathy and I work together is I was working at a trade show. I was sponsoring an event, and I needed a booth put together, and I knew Kathy was going to be there as one of the fellow sponsors, and I kind of went into panic, right? Because I was thinking, oh my goodness, I'm doing this show out of town. It's 3 weeks before the show. I haven't given it any thought. Oh, look, I think she does this. So I gave her a call, and we hadn't even met. You figured me out in, like, from the time I called you 3 hours later, you pulled my image together for me for that show, and you understood me in a way that I think a lot of people need a lot more time to do that. So obviously this is your zone of genius. And I'm just curious, you know, how you got to this point to know that you could do this for people. And then I want to know a little bit more detail, all the little nooks and crannies you go into. So if you could start by telling me how you got here.
So my background is a little bit unusual. I grew up in a military family, lived all over the world, went to high school in Yellowknife, lived in Pakistan when I was 12 and 13 years old. So I have a very diverse upbringing, and I've seen a lot of different cultures and had a lot of experiences that really contributed to what I'm doing now. I was in the military in the Air Force as a logistics air transport officer for 12 years, which was fantastic. Again, got to travel around the world and see a lot of things. And I think a combination of these different experiences from a very young age, coupled with the logistics and planning and detail-oriented nature of the job I had in the military, came together when I, retired at the age of 29, got out of the military, and then took all these pieces and put them together and realized as I was moving forward in my life that I had this ability to understand what people needed and transforming what their needs are into a visual display. I didn't know I had the talent, but it seems to come really naturally to me.
It's really cool. And I mean, some of the work you've done that I've seen is just, it's really incredible, like the lip balm and little gum packets. And I've seen some of the work you've done for entrepreneurs. And I'm just curious, because you go in with such a fine detail and a fine eye for all those little things that you do. What would you say, just when we think about our audience here, if somebody's sitting at home thinking, well, I've never really thought of my business image. I think of my brand, or I think of what I got to put it on Facebook. What would be one of the first things you would tell somebody when it comes to their business image and visually capturing that? Like where should they even start to think, and why does that matter, and where should they start to be pointing their attention and direction towards?
So what I like to do when I work with a new client for the first time is to figure out who they're trying to reach. Who's your target audience? But it's not just about who it is. It's how do you want them to feel?
Okay.
And then based on how you want them to feel, what is the action that you want them to take? So do you want them to feel empathy and therefore you want them to donate? Do you want them to feel super excited and you want them to purchase? So if you can figure out who you're trying to reach and how you want them to feel, then I build the plan backwards so that organizations can have a cohesive look and feel that's all working towards the same goal.
And what would you say is the one thing that organizations and businesses don't think about on their own, right? Like if you were to look at a business that hasn't paid attention to this, right? And they think they've done it. Where are the things that they tend to overlook the most, or what mistakes do they make when it comes to their image?
So I think people underestimate the power of the subconscious. So if your brand looks disjointed and not pulled together, and your Instagram feed is completely different from your Facebook feed, which is completely different from your business cards and completely different from your website, and a booth that you're putting together at a trade show, if all of those pieces, you think they're together, but they're not. You're using a different shade of green every time. You're using a different font every time. You're using a different quality of your logo, or your logo doesn't have standardization, those sorts of things. People realize that, but they don't know why. So you can look disorganized, disjointed, not as cohesive, not as focused, and not as able to deliver the product or service that they're asking for. So for me, I like to make sure that the entire palette, the entire program, all of the pieces fit together and mesh together very tightly so that our businesses have an appearance and reality of being as integrated and professional as they are.
And now I think that's really important. And you touched on a really important piece there where, you said it's what people portray. So if things aren't all together visually, your service may be complete, like as an entrepreneur, their service could be top notch, yet people will just assume that it's not, and they won't even know why.
Sadly, it's true. We're in a world of incredible levels of visual stimulation. I mean, social media has changed everything. It used to be you just needed a one-page placeholder website to get by. Now, interactive and pop up here, and oh wait, it's not Instagram anymore. Now it's Snapchat. Now it's so things change very, very quickly. And it's sad that if you're not reflecting your business in a strong visual way, that people are judging, whether subconsciously or actually directly, they're judging the quality of your service.
Even if your service has nothing to do with visuals.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's the idea that, if your desk is messy, do people think that your mind is messy too? My desk is pretty much a train wreck, but that's because of the level of creativity that I have. And the multicolored Post-it notes and the fantastic Sharpies, and that's what's feeding me all day. But when I really need to focus, I do clear my desk and I focus. So you want people to be able to feel that when they see your brand as well.
Yeah, and what would you think are some of your most, or when you think back of some of the clients you've worked with and some of the projects that you've done, what are some of the really fun things? Because I know, one of the things you said in your bio is you're just as comfortable putting together a really formal gala as you are hauling your margarita machine down the street, right?
Yeah.
So those are two very different things, and you can be at home in either one of them. So I'm curious as to what you find really fun about your job and your business and the entrepreneurs you work with, and I'd love to learn a little bit about about just the behind the scenes part too, what it's like as an entrepreneur, going, from military to entrepreneurship. So there's a few things I'd love to cover. So tell me first, like what are some of the most fun gigs you've had? Because you've been pretty creative.
I love gigs that are really unpredictable, and I like ones that have multiple pieces to them. So, it's all great to put a branding package together so you have your logo and how you're going to roll out your brand and your business cards and stuff. But I love it when clients come and they need everything. So we start from the ground up, and we start with personalizing a logo that is so customized that they have an emotional connection to it. And then we take that and we're like, okay, now you're going to paint the inside of your building that color. And now we're going to pull it through your social media and your web. And now we're going to pull it through your displays that you have. And you need an annual report? Well, guess what? We're going to give that the same feel, the same vibe, the same passion. And recently, we've been working with an organization where we started with their strategic plan. So we started from the ground up with their strategic plan, and now the strategic plan is laying out the path for all of the other communications and marketing pieces they need. And for me, it's so fun to pull all the pieces together. When we delivered the strategic plan, I even had custom cookies made with the logo on it.
That's the stuff I love that you do. Is
and so when we delivered
cookies.
the plan, we delivered the cookies too, so that the organization and all the people who had contributed to it could celebrate, the arrival of this plan and the way forward. And for me, it's all those little pieces that go together that make it so exciting.
And I just have to say, like when Kathy did my booth, there was a big bowl of chocolates there. They were all in my brand colors. There was also apparently an orchid there in my brand color that I didn't notice as the client, but she had everything pulled together. But I remember walking in going, the chocolates are the same color. So it is those really small details where people just feel really special and taken care of. And even from, my potential clients looking at that, it was just, everything was just so. And I know we were just talking before we started here about having branded cocktails, like at one event, right? Where you created them to be on brand. Of course, I love cocktails. We all know that. So this was like she was talking my language here. But I don't think we think sometimes just how in detail we can go with our visual brand. Like when I think of a stylist, right? And I've worked with stylists for myself, and they go right down into how you hang your clothes in your cupboard, because that affects your mindset when you approach things. And they look at every detail, like is your belt buckle in place? Just things we don't think about. We get ourselves dressed, we look fine, we go out, and the stylist helps you put all those little tiny pieces together, and it's like, whoa, right? So I think when it comes to our business, there's just all those little things that we might not be thinking of in terms of our brand. And we tend to look at it as our brand or a visual brand, but if we were to really think about it, that's why I love you using the term, like the business and corporate image strategist, it just takes it to a different level of depth and fun, because suddenly you feel like you're getting all dressed up, right?
I think every day I have fun at work. I absolutely adore what I do. I'm passionate about it. And I think because it's fun, it makes you more creative, and it makes me keep going. The thing is, though, not everybody is a specialist or an expert at this. I am not a specialist or an expert at taxes. You do not want me doing your taxes, that's for sure. But I have somebody else who does that. So a lot of people assume that because it's their brand, they need to be an expert at it and they need to be able to handle it all themselves. But you can't be perfect at everything you do. So there are areas where you outsource, or you bring in consultant, or you bring in assistants. And I think those things are really, really important. And that's where you get the fine details, right? My accountant is going to pick up every deduction that I can get. And I am going to Pantone match the color of your orchid to your profile so that the flower matches the display that you have. And for me, I get such joy out of that. And the fact that you didn't notice that there was an orchid there did not bother me at all.
It kind of bothers me.
It doesn't bother me at all. You notice the chocolates, and that's fine. But you know what? Somebody else noticed the orchid, and somebody else noticed the quality, and somebody else noticed the choices. And therefore, that all reflected on you and the quality and the choices that you make. So it would help and contribute to you getting new clients. And so for me, that's the ultimate goal.
Which is, and I mean, that was just such a cool experience. And obviously we're on location here today. We're filming outside of our normal studio. And as a member of my audience, you know what our normal studio looks like, our regular studio with the couch and the artwork behind us. And Kathy recreated that exactly. You couldn't tell. I felt like I was on location on my own set in another part of the country, which was really cool. And the details were just incredible. So there was such a fun piece to putting this together. I do want to just digress a little bit, though, over to the behind the scenes thing about being an entrepreneur, because, a lot of our audience here are entrepreneurs who've been in business for a while, some who are thinking of making the leap to entrepreneurship, some who are thinking, I can't cut it anymore. And they really like to look to a lot of our guests for inspiration on, what you do, and also like how you got there. The what it's really like, what it takes to be an entrepreneur, and some of the decisions you had to make to A, get into business, and B, sometimes some of the decisions you got to make to stay in business, because it's not always a big bowl of sunshine and roses.
It's really not. Yeah. There are some days that it's very challenging.
Even when we love what we do, there's days where, I'll admit it, like I just want to pull the cover up and just stay there.
Yeah.
So what is it that you would say are some of the challenges you've had to overcome to get your business to this level? And when you have those days where you just want to pull the blanket over your head, how do you what is the mindset you adopt to just go like, okay, I'm getting up?
There are days when I wake up in the morning and I think, oh my God, I own my own business. And there are most days when I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I own my own business. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to, see what's in my inbox, and I can't wait to put the plan together that I came up with in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. But there are days that are very difficult. And I guess I would just have to say to people, you have to believe in yourself and you have to want it. And if you really don't want it, it's okay to not move forward. But if you really want it, you want to own it, you want to build it yourself, you want to, I am the CP in CP Business Solutions. Yeah. My name is on my company. And some days I have to remind myself of that, and those are the days I get up and I put on my orange underwear, because that's the one that makes me feel powerful. And even if I'm spending my day
orange is her business color.
Orange is my business color.
That's her brand color.
Even if there are days that I spend in yoga pants, I can still be creating the most incredible campaigns, but it has to do with your inner strength and your inner conviction to what you want to do. And for me, my passion is just delivering excellence to my clients, and that's what fuels me.
Yeah, and I think that's what keeps us going. Because I always, when I talk to my clients, one of the things we have to work on the most is like really that why, keeping that why front and center, because that's what helps us get up and helps us get going and keep going. And the other thing too that I think what I'm really big about in business and success are decisions, right? We can't move forward unless we make decisions. Yeah. And as entrepreneurs, I think a lot of times we will come across a decision in our life that is pivotal, that puts us on one path or another. And what I find though is sometimes those really, really, really big decisions, as scary as they are, they're obvious. But when we go back and connect the dots, it's some of those little decisions we've made that really were that little hinge that swung a big door that we didn't even realize the impact on it. So I'm curious as to some of the decisions you've had to make to get yourself to the point you are now.
I have a little bit of an unusual background in that shortly after I got out of the military, my husband is still in the military. And I went back to business school, got a master's in business administration, which I adored the process. It was really fun to be at school after having taken a break from an undergrad degree. And so I went to school and I came out with this shiny degree and I felt like I was ready to take on the world. And then boom, 9/11 hit, which was very difficult because I had given up my career and nobody was hiring. And I was trying to figure out who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do and how I was going to invent myself. At the same time, I was a military spouse and my husband was continuing to get posted constantly. So we were moving all around the world. So we moved, Winnipeg, Ottawa, Belgium, where'd we go? Toronto, Cold Lake, Alberta, Alabama. I wasn't allowed to work in the States at all. So I had a number of years where I had this dream brewing and building inside me, but execution just wasn't an option. So when we finally settled down a little bit more, I pulled the trigger and decided I was going to incorporate. And I did about a year and a half as a sole proprietor before that. And then when I decided to incorporate, that was one of those decisions that I don't want to say I made it quickly, but once I made it. Yeah. And I jumped in with both feet. And then things started to grow and build from there. So for me, that was a big turning point, and the ability to commit, to myself that I was going to do it. And my husband's support was very much appreciated at the time too, but it let me grow the business.
And the other thing you said too is, with all the logistical changes and moving, and then being in the States, being Canadian and not being able to work. I think a lot of times people could just put their dream not necessarily on hold, but just go, it can't happen because of my circumstances. And now my circumstances have changed, but it's too late, I'm too old. So easy for that to die down. What would you tell somebody that right now is sitting there feeling like, I have this dream and I can't do it because, what would you tell them?
Well, you need to try. Because I felt that way. I felt that way, that I had put my dream on hold for so long, and then, well, maybe I was just not going to do it, and that was okay. And then I woke up one day and I thought, no, this isn't right. This isn't me. I have this passion inside of me. I have this burning. I have this desire to own this, and I have this skill set and this service to give. And I would say, try it. Take the leap. And the whole thing about being too old, I mean, I don't buy into that at all.
No, I don't either.
Like not a little bit.
I don't either. Yeah,
that's not a valid reason. That I think if it's more of an excuse.
Yeah,
so,
and I think it's just that's fear, right? That comes up as fear,
yeah.
And it's easy to say it's too late. But I sometimes think of people like Julia Child, right? I mean, she started in her late 40s or 50s. She didn't even go to cooking school till then, and then built a whole empire. So we can, if we really want to do something,
you have to commit to it.
Yeah.
And you have to wake up in the morning and you have to know that that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
And if you decide that it's not what you want to do, I'm fine with that too. That's okay. But don't not do it because you're scared.
Yeah, I would agree with
Don't not do it because you don't have the skill set, because you can learn the skills.
Or hire them.
Or outsource them or find them. But I think commit to yourself. If you really want to do this, jump in, go, do it. Yeah, because the feeling of accomplishment afterwards is phenomenal.
It is.
It really is.
What were the big mindset shifts you had to make going from military to entrepreneur?
Yeah, that was crazy. I did not realize, I underestimated the impact on me emotionally getting out of the military. It's a tight family, and it was what I'd known my whole life. I mean, I was 17 at military college. I grew up in the military as a child and as a young adult, and I loved it, and I still do. I have the benefit now that my husband's still in, so I still get to, have a slight attachment to it. But I definitely underestimated the loss of camaraderie, the loss of an organization. When you start your own business, there can be very, very lonely days. When you're wearing a uniform and you're going to work with everybody else and you're all working towards the common good and all these sorts of things, there's a unity to that, and there's a camaraderie that was instantly gone, and I underestimated that.
And I know one of the things, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who've had previous careers, and so just shifting into the entrepreneurial mindset with all the risk and all the personal growth and all the things you have to do is something nobody prepares you for. And I think with your story, there's a little more depth because of the military piece. There was a whole identity switch as well.
Absolutely. I didn't even know what to wear on the first day.
Yeah. And going from, you said something really interesting, the common good to building your own thing. And even though you're affecting a lot of people in a good way, you're still building yourself. And so that's something I know a lot of women struggle with prioritizing themselves and saying, it's okay for me to have this dream. It's okay for me to want it. They struggle with that. What would you tell them if they're thinking, I can't want that for me?
I would say that I still struggle with it too. I still have this real fire and this desire to make a difference and to give back and to be charitable and to support, the common good. My husband will come home and he'll take a look and there'll be cookies on the counter and he'll say, can I eat these, or are these for the greater good? Are you going to donate them somewhere? So I still have that burning need inside me, but I don't let it overshadow my own personal desire for personal success. And the difference from coming out of the military and in a group setting to going to being the boss and the CEO of your own company, you have to change the focus, and you have to know that it's okay. It's okay to put yourself first once in a while, and it's okay to want the success, because the success that I feel ripples out to other people.
Yeah, and your clients then also create success.
Exactly.
If you're successful, that's because your clients are successful, because they're making money, because their business is creating a ripple effect, and then their clients are achieving great things.
And my job is to make them be as strong as they can be so that they can go out and serve their clients and provide their services. So for me, I still get to have that desire to contribute, But in order for me to do that well, I also need to look at my own company and what the strength is that I need in that.
Yeah, and it's really cool because you get to serve the common good your way, though.
Yeah, it's
Not
kind of
someone
neat on my
else's
own,
way,
and I
right?
can wear whatever I want.
Yeah, you don't have to wear a uniform.
Yeah.
Although there will always be orange, though. I take it
Often there is.
Yeah.
Often there is. Yes.
And I think, and I want to go back. So I'm going to shift the conversation back a little bit more technical about this image strategist stuff. I think that it can be so easy, and I've been guilty of it myself. And my technical and creative director is behind the scenes here. She'll agree that just piecing stuff together is. She'll sometimes just step in and override me because she doesn't like what I've done. But which is good because she's got the eye for it. And I think that bit about piecing things together can actually be more damaging to a brand and to a business and to cohesiveness. And where an entrepreneur is thinking, well, I'll handle this piece or I'll hire that piece out. And I know it can be a big investment. It can be a big commitment to say, hey, I want to have somebody take care of this for me. So what would you say to someone, and I know we talked about speaking to that of really having a cohesive plan versus just going, today I'm going to work on Instagram and I think I'll blog over here and I need a new logo. What would you say to somebody to help them understand the importance of how this all pulls together?
Well, asking for help to pull it all together it doesn't mean that you have necessarily abdicated all responsibility. It doesn't mean that you need to give up control at all. What it means is that you're bringing in some assistance, some people who can help you pull the whole thing together. Think of it as a mechanic. So one person works on the tires, one person works on the engine, one person works on the steering, who's on fluid top up, but it takes all of those people to make the whole car run together. So when I work with a client, I work very closely with the individual and I build the relationship with the person. They are always involved in the process because particularly for entrepreneurs, it's very difficult for them to give up the control and the ownership over their own individual companies because they're passionate about them. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing to do is respect that passion, understand the passion, and then that's the passion that we pull through all the other pieces. We drag it through all of their overarching brands so that they can emotionally connect with every single one of their pieces and they feel the pride. There's nothing worse than seeing somebody hand over a business card and go, this is my business card, but I don't like the logo, or there's a spelling mistake, or I'm going to scratch out, the phone number because I didn't print it right. And you can see it in their face. When I hand my business card over, I'm like, this is my business card. You got to feel it. It feels awesome. Look, when the light hits it, it shines a little bit. It's orange on one side. Now, all of our staff have gray on that side because only so many people can handle the orange. But just me. It's just mine. But they're still cohesive and they feel amazing and we're proud of the brand that we share. And I want that for other people.
And there's something to be said about that. When you're proud of your brand. I know I remember when I first started my business, it was years ago, and I just needed a business card, right? And I would hand it out and I'd apologize for it. And I would dread it because I just knew, it's a name and phone number, but people will be judging me. And then over the years, they've changed as I go, but it was very different when I could actually hand a card to somebody that I was excited to hand them.
Exactly.
And I think it's not just about the card in that moment. It's that whole energy you put forward as an entrepreneur, because they may or may not really look at the card and they may call you regardless. But when you have that shrinking energy and you energetically just kind of then people aren't that interested.
If you dismiss yourself, other people are going to dismiss you.
Exactly.
If you have confidence and pride in what you're doing, then other people are going to see that.
Yeah.
And they are going to rise up and they are going to want to have that same feeling. So for me, the business cards are important because they represent so much more than a piece of paper with a phone number on it. How do you feel when you hand that over? And how does somebody else feel when they receive it from you?
And it's all about that energy in that moment.
It's all about the energy and the connection. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite before and after story of any of your clients? I know I just blindsided that question.
I do. And I have asked permission from her before to use it. So yes. I ran into somebody, we were both working in Germany for a client, and we didn't know each other, we didn't know we were working on the same client, but we had hotel rooms next to each other. And I remember seeing her walk into the room and she had crazy curly hair. And I have crazy curly hair sometimes too. And that morning I had I didn't have my hair gel or goo or whatever. So I knocked on her door and I said, hey, can I borrow this? And then we started talking, and it turned out that we were working for the same client. Flash forward a number of years later, she called me because she wanted to redo her brand, and it very much needed to be done. I say this with the ultimate, respect for her, and because I knew her and I talked to her and I talked about what she does, and she says, oh, I peel back layers on people and things like this. And so we took all of that creativity and put it into her new brand. And she adores her brand. And moving forward now, we often work together, and partner on projects because there's a real connection between the two of us. So
one of the things I love about what you do is you do work with your clients on creating some pretty cool promotional items that are not from an online catalog. We'll leave them nameless. You've done some really funky stuff. What has been some of your favorite little, I don't know what the word is, but giveaways or things?
Giveaways, swags, promotional items, yeah. I do love the cookies. The cookies are fun because people remember them because you can eat them too, right?
Yeah.
So we do cookies with logos on them. Right now, we're being stalked for our lip balm. So we put together a campaign earlier, I think it was last year, that was CP Business Solutions, as refreshing as our ideas. So we had this perky peppermint gum that went with it, and then we also had custom-made tangerine lip balm, so it had to be orange.
Orange, yes.
So we did a big test batch to see, how tangerine did we want, how much essential oils, and it was all customized, and it's as refreshing as our ideas too. And people are asking for it all over, like the Facebook and things like that.
And that's the key thing, though, with the promotional items that you do create for your clients. They are, if you're test batching essential oil in the lip balm, like it is that customized. And when we think about our brand, and you think about like if you go to an actual stylist for clothing, you'll have some custom-made pieces in there which make you unique. And I think when you bring that to your business and you start to have custom-made pieces in there that people wouldn't think of, it makes you unique.
We did a logo a number of years ago, and it was for a Taekwondo school. And, there's 1,000 of them out there. How do you make this one unique? How do you make the people really connect to it? So we ended up taking a photo of the owner doing a really cool kick, and then we overlaid the silhouette into the name of the company. But he's got a very unique haircut. So the front of his hair just tips up just a little bit. And when you enlarge the logo big enough, you can see the flick in the hair. And his students notice it, and he notices it. So there's this real personal connection to that logo. And anybody who just sees the logo thinks it's just kind of cool. But if you know the story behind it, there's a real connection to it. So I love putting those really personal pieces together.
And then that's when, as business owners, we can get really excited about our brand, and we can get excited about talking to people about it without feeling like we're selling or being salesy, because it's just really exciting and we're able to represent ourselves. And I know there's nothing more exciting to me than when I'm working with somebody who has captured it, right? That's how I felt when I showed up at my booth in Ottawa. I was like, okay, she got this. And it's exciting because you don't have to explain it. Somebody gets it, and then that your potential clients are going to get it, which I think is just really exciting. So, Kathy, before we leave today, and thank you so much for showing up for this interview. I know you traveled a long way to come for this, and I really appreciate it. If there's anyone in our audience today that they're worried about their corporate image or their business image, if there's one takeaway you can give them, one thing that they can do today to help them just get on the right path? Is there something they need to look at, something they need to do, a question they need to ask themselves? What's the one action step they can all do today?
If I could give you one piece of advice, the question is, do you love your brand? You must love your brand, because everything you do is represented in that brand. And if you don't love it, people will see that and they will understand that. So be passionate about your image, be passionate about your organization, and love your brand. You can always expand it after that, but you have to have an emotional connection with it.
Thank you so much, Kathy. This was really informative.
You're so welcome.
A lot of fun. Had a great time today, and I hope that you've enjoyed our episode today as well. If you did, I would love you to leave us a comment below and tell us what you found most helpful. If you'd love to learn more about Kathy, we're going to have all of her information below, so you can reach out to her and contact her as well. And make sure to share and subscribe to my channel and share this video. And if you need more help and are looking for an awesome place to grow your business, then I would love to invite you to join me in the free Living Forward Facebook community. That's where you can meet an awesome like-minded tribe of entrepreneurs, get daily inspiration from me, and grow your business. All you have to do is hop on over to livingforwardcommunity.com, click the Join Now button, and I'll see you on the inside.